Week 11 is here. Disappointments from last night's Thursday night football game aside, we've got a lot to get into today. Some very obvious chalk. Of course, we're going to do what we always do here on this video, where I'm going to go through all the projections today from Stochastic and also look at the ownership as well, going position by position and try to get a read on everything you need to know for this weekend's main slate. We're also going to hop over to the solver, try to optimize some lineups to find out what the math's going to make people build this week. We'll check out the sims on Stochastic. We'll also maybe try to hand build. We'll do an Underdog Battle Royale and a pick'em. It's a fantasy football gauntlet here to find out the must-plays of Week 11. Let's get into it. And yeah, Thursday night, I disagree with some of the chats already. People going Quinion Mitchell. You could nobody's a shutdown corner in the league. First of all, it's not like number one thing to know in anything football-wise. Number two would be you could still throw the ball to your fucking player. If he had 10 targets McLaurin's way and he had one catch, then yeah, maybe he got shut down. But the Eagles give up a ton of contested catches. McLaurin's got a ton. So like it was really just a lack of willfulness by the Commanders yesterday. So I'll take the L in it because it fucking was awful results, obviously. But was really one of those things where it's like Cliff Kingsbury, look, that team can win. I've said it in the VIP Discord to a few people as well. The team can win off of screens and zone runs, and they would love to do that if they can. The issue is like they get into these high-pressure spots. It's like they don't change the game plan. Like, yeah, you can put away the Giants, you can put away Carolina, you can put away all these mid-tier teams with that kind of bullshit. But at a certain point, you need to get vertical and get downfield a little bit, and they just aren't willing to do it. Jaden, the rib thing might still be affecting them a little bit. Ran a little bit more yesterday, but just wasn't the ideal game, and definitely not a good one for the best ball bags. But we still got fucking 2 more weeks after this one before their bye weeks. We'll see if the Commanders provide something useful down the home stretch. But a tough loss for them, and the Eagles, I don't think, looked much more impressive in the win. Jalen Hurts, I thought he made so many strides after the bye week, and he felt like he was lost in that offense again. So I don't really know what's going on with either team, to be honest. And I wouldn't take a whole lot out of it besides Saquon fans. Yippee, your advance rate going higher. More Saquon in the playoffs, all what we want to see. Honestly, at this point, probably for real, because he's going to be the chalk of all chalk in the playoffs. Main slate, though, let's focus on what we got to do for the work-wise here. And people love to decompress, coalesce on what happened on a Thursday night football game. But let's get to work on this stuff, starting with Alvin Kamara, your top projected player in the week. 22.8 fantasy points in this one. He's your top projected player going against Cleveland. A matchup here where New Orleans I think actually was a pick'em, or they might have been a 1-point favorite, not for NBA. Doing my NBA prep before the stream as well. Of course, Splash Play coming up later today. So I appreciate chats like this from our pal, Steven Leibovitz. I'll be live there at 4 p.m. later today. Right now, Barkley's just trolling me. He's just got one of the best roles in football. I don't know what else to say about it. He's, again, not that great himself. Yards for contact, great. Rolls, great. Broke a couple good plays. He always breaks a couple good plays that wipe out kind of the inefficient plays that he has, where he doesn't get a first down when he should. That's sort of the things that I look down on. But anyway, New Orleans currently at a pick'em, so I was right about that with Cleveland. The hope here for Alvin Kamara would be that you can see them. Make sure I get the actual total in here. It's a 22.3 implied points for both sides in New Orleans and Cleveland. Just screams like a game total where Kamara should get a ton of checkdowns, should get some opportunities, maybe picks up one of the rushing touchdowns that will go down in that game. Obviously, if Taysom Hill, there is some risk. But in terms of chalk, once again, at 8,200, I don't think he's bad chalk on a big slate like this, where we have a ton of games, a ton of running back plays that are going to be perfectly valid. You can get away from Kamara, but the best projected player once again here. Just a really steep price tag for him if you're going to go that way. And I think you can question the ceiling too. Like, you're not going to get 40 fantasy points from Kamara, I don't think. You're not going to get 50. You're not going to get that Dallas game again where they were just playing so well as an offense, things look good. Playing against Cleveland, which is not great defense, but still, at least average, I would say. Kamara there, I don't expect there to be the peak ceiling here, but the PPR points on DraftKings, huge. On FanDuel, I would think he's like a much worse play. Lamar Jackson at an AK salary going against Pittsburgh. He's your number 2 projected player here. 21.8 is a projection for him. Okay value metrics on it. Nothing standing out too much, but I'm sure if you go to Lamar stacks this week, I'll probably be a little bit under-owned because Lamar tends to be under-owned all the time because that price tag of QB. Nobody wants to pay it. Breece Hall, a 20.9 projection. Do you want to trust it? Match against Indianapolis. Should be able to move the ball pretty well. Having AR out there, maybe some more explosive plays. I doubt he's improved that much as a QB in the last 2 weeks, so kind of feels like it could be a get-well spot as well for AR to just throw some picks at that Jets defense. If he does do that, if he does have some screw-ups, the defense does get a little bit better in the spot, I think Breece Hall should yield some of the results from that. So $7,500 price tag. The workload for Breece, I've mentioned pretty much the entire year. It's not a bell cow workload that you're paying this premium price tag for, where he's not the only red zone back. He's not the only one putting up, 20 carries a game. He's not even getting to 20 carries a game all the time. He's averaging about 19.6, and that might have actually creeped down a little bit after last week. You had 19 flat intended touches a game for him, 2.2 inside the red zone, 0.8 inside the 10-yard line. That's like one of the Bucks backs kind of workloads, a little more touches, but the red zone stuff is like almost these committee backs. You're not getting 5+ like a Kyron Williams, like a McCaffrey does historically, like Jordan Mason has a part of the year, like a Saquon does, like a Derrick Henry does. Even Brian Robinson gets a ton of red zone work. So that's where Breece Hall, I think, tends to fail. And if he is chalk, I don't know that I want to be there again. If you can get there against Arizona, like Indianapolis, a better matchup, but it's not like that much better. Achane, one of my favorite plays in the week. I think he'll be one of the chalkiest ones. 20.1 fantasy points for him, a slightly lesser salary. If he makes Breece Hall a lesser owned play, sure. But Devon Achane at this point, I think a strong play at 7,200, given the fact that Miami feeding the ball the most. He actually has the most targets for the team since Tua came back from that concussion. I wrote that up in the fantasy points props betting column that I did yesterday, which I'll link in the chat so you know. I don't think we have a ton of fantasy points members in the chat. You should be, because it is a great product, great data product, great site as well. But mostly you should be a member so you can check out my props column where I kind of talk about some of my favorite DFS plays on the week and then talk about it basically the prism of what we're talking about here. All right. I can't pull up the link. They do not make it easy for me to ever find my links, which is the one gripe I have of the fantasy points experience. That and the column not being free are my two main gripes here. I'm determined to pull it up now at this point. All right, here we go. Copy link address. It's in the chat. It's in the chat for the one person that has a Fantasy Points membership. If you don't have a Fantasy Points membership and you want to get good data in your life from the home stretch, I use the promo code SPAGS25 on there for 25% off. Gets you access to that column as well as all their data. And they have some fun data that I don't pull in from other places, like the first read data. I look at that every week. Some of the zone run stuff, gap run stuff, I look at that as well. So they have some unique data points that aren't on Sports Info Solutions, Pro Football Reference, things that you do have, or I have access to normally. Okay, rest of the players here. We got Josh Allen, 20.07 fantasy points for him. High salary. Targets maybe getting a little more logical overall if you do have Amari Cooper out there. So at this point, ass. Oh, yes, of course. The separation score. How could I forget? They're just calling me an ass. Like historical anomalies is not one of our trolls. But yes, the ass, of course, the average separation score. Personally, I don't use that one that much. Looked at it a little bit more in the year. They swear by it. Look, I got to be real. I don't see the same correlation as much, but it is a unique stat that gives you some read on how guys are doing. And then who to blame. The issue with the average separation score, the ass stat, is that like guys can get open. They just might not earn targets because it's not a function of the way the offense is running. Like some guys can get open on a play, but like they're not the design targets. So the QB never even looks at them. So that's sort of the issue, I think, with the separation score. But they claim that it does back test really well. And we other guys here, nothing else to note up top. Jefferson, after the bad game last week, you're probably buying while there's some blood in the street. $8,600 salary, really low value metric for him. If he does put up a ceiling day, and I don't know that it can happen at this point because Darnold just doesn't seem like he can create the ceiling days for him. But last week was about as close as he could get, where those two of the picks that Darnold had were potential touchdowns to Jefferson. He just wasn't in the right spot. They weren't exactly synced up. Tennessee's pass defense, let me just take a quick look here. No, it's not good, but it's not like egregious. It's flat average, 0 flat EPA allowed per dropback, 0 flat EPA per pass. But Jefferson, I see him here. I see the low value metric. I think an interesting contrarian play. And kind of the same thing for Kyron Williams. He'll be a little bit cheaper than some of these guys, a little bit more expensive than some of the other ones, but he won't be as chalky. Not a great value metric, but still a good projection on him. Facing a New England team that can hang in games, but is certainly not going to run away from the Rams, would be my guess. All right. Am I laggy again? I feel like I'm like laggy on every day on stream now. I don't fucking know why. All right. Top values right now, according to Stochastic. And again, get all this data for yourself. 15% off. Link in the description at Stochastic. Appreciate all you guys helping me make the most money I have as an affiliate for Stochastic last month. So let's break that record again, here in November. Please go check out the link down below. All their data, all their tools, the sim stuff as well. 15% off. Your top value plays this week. Jameis Winston going against New Orleans, a revenge game for him. Ooh, but he does project fairly well, dropping back a lot. Jameis on the year. Where are we at with him? Dropping back 28 times a game. That might include some of the off the bench stints. So that's a little bit low. EPA wise, negative 0.05 EPA per pass, not great. 60% catchable ball rate, not great. 9.5 air yards per attempt, pretty good. Really think if you're going with him, it's probably going to be Jameis and Tillman stacks. If I had to guess, Tillman's still at like a 5K-ish salary. So people will play Jameis again. And if I had to guess, he's actually going to come up a good amount. In an optimizer, we run that in a minute. Titans D, your top value chalk D potentially of the week here going against Darnold. He had the really big letdown game last week. People will chase that $2,300 salary as well. Titans, just one more quick look at their defense, see if they're deflecting passes at a high rate. Deflecting passes about 6% of the time, which is not that high. If you have hands on the ball, you can turn into picks. So I don't think Darnold's that inaccurate, though. It's still a 69% catchable ball rate from Darnold on the year. Probably an overrated defense, to be honest, but I get why the value would be so high. Drake May, top value overall against the Rams. Rams defense has been beaten up. Potentially, Kayshon Boutte going to be a chalk play of the week, which I don't think holds over the weekend, but right now, we'll look at it in a moment, but I don't see that. But Drake May, Boutte stacks might be a thing this week. Geno Smith playing against the Niners D, which is not as good as in the past. Obviously, a high pass rate team as well for Seattle. An interesting value play. Bo Nix going against Atlanta. Really soft offense, I guess, on Denver's side. Soft defense, though, on Atlanta's side as well. And Atlanta on their side offensively, maybe going to struggle a little bit versus Denver's defense, but still should find a way to produce a little bit, one would think. So Bo Nix in the spot. People probably will go with some Nick Sutton stacks this week. People like Audric Estime, but I don't know if he's really a DFS play for most people, and I don't think he would be, honestly, for me, as much as I like him either. But I think Nick's kind of in play. Just I don't know what you're stacking him up with besides Sutton. Position by position here real fast. You're going to get a read on most of these already because we saw them. Top 5 QBs according to the overall projection, not value. Lamar, Josh Allen, Brock Purdy at 19.2 fantasy points, Bo Nix at 18.8, and Patrick Mahomes at 18.2. So Bo Nix, the only one that is top 5 in value and overall projection at the QB position. Top projected RBs right now. You got Alvin Kamara, Breece Hall, Devon Achane. We talked about those guys. Kyron talked about him as well as contrarian play. Jahmyr Gibbs, I don't get to very often, but against Jacksonville, a very soft opponent. He could certainly break some big runs against them. Still would think it's more likely a spot where David Montgomery is the one who kind of just puts the ball away. But Jacksonville's so inefficient, so bad on the offensive side as well, that you don't really need a power runner here. It could be Jahmyr Gibbs breaking 2 50-yard runs, maybe catch some passes. So Jahmyr Gibbs, another interesting turn to play to me, is honestly the exact same price point as Achane and Breece Hall. So Gibbs, I think live for some ownership, but if he's not being owned, he's great leverage, I think. And I'm not a big Jahmyr Gibbs guy with Montgomery being there, but that's a pretty nice price, and given his upside and the matchup. It's time. It estimates. Are we doing Vader time? Yes, it is. It is estimate time. It's time for him to get carries. I don't know if he's going to get enough yardage with it because that team is not good, unfortunately. Competitive, not good. At least for, a functional overall offense. Bo Nix, good for fantasy. Justin Jefferson, your top projected receiver. We talked about that. Tyreek Hill, again, just not the same player this year, but still projects well. Tyreek, 7.2 intended touches a game, 14% intended touch rates. We're now talking about like 1/3 of where he was last year in terms of them forcing the touches to him. 27% target rate, just not that elite. 6.4 targets a game. And again, for what it's worth, since Tua came back in, Achane has more targets per game than Tyreek. So I am not crazy about Tyreek, but looking at these value metrics and the salaries here, I think that Tyreek might end up being a chalk play on the week again. Khalil Shakir could be chalky as well if Cooper comes back in. I don't like that play quite as much. Shakir's fine, but 6,300 feels a little bit lofty for him. And frankly, an 18.4 fantasy point projection. Because they don't have Amari in, that's why. So if Amari is in, Shakir's going to lose that projection and not be chalk, I would think. But 18.4, even if Amari were out, even if Kincaid and Amari were out, 18.4 Shakir feels like a lot. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 18.3 for him at an 8K salary, so he won't be played very much. Certainly could go off versus Jacksonville. My concern, and it's honestly like it feels like a bit at this point for Detroit. Like against Jacksonville, they could throw touchdowns to whoever. Like J-Mo's a good play. They struggled downfield. Wrote that up in the fantasy points prop column as well. So worth maybe digging into that if you want to take some J-Mo props. Those lines, honestly, juiced really fucking high, plus 165. Laporta didn't practice yesterday too. So there is some theoretical upside right now on a Friday if Laporta doesn't practice again that Amon-Ra doesn't have accounted for currently. But Amon-Ra at 8K, tough price tag. Detroit could do some fucking bullshit and throw to whoever they want, like they did versus Dallas. I don't think they have a motivational reason like they did versus Dallas to do that. But like you could see, I don't even fucking know who they put out there. Put a safety catching a touchdown. Like it's just they do too much gimmicky shit. Is really my main takeaway for Detroit. That's hard to trust the primary players besides the RBs. So I think I still have a good amount of trust for. Garrett Wilson, Devontae Adams has been banged up this week, so soft matchup against Indianapolis. Jets still think they can make the playoffs. I think based on what Aaron Rodgers has said to the media this week. So if Devontae Adams is out, Garrett Wilson looks a lot better. Currently, Devontae projected in. He's still got that high of a projection. So if Adams goes out, Garrett Wilson probably becomes a chalk play. I think Garrett Wilson's still fine if Adams is in, but I don't trust the Jets. Haven't this entire year. Nothing has changed on that front. Tight ends real fast, and then defenses, top 5 tight ends. Travis Kelce at 17.6 projection. Brock Bowers, 15 flat, so pretty big disparity here with Kelce. Likely come up in a lot of lineups, I think, if we can afford him. George Kittle, 14.5 projection. He's also banged up. Still been good on the year. Feels like he should keep the same reliable role, but maybe a little more downside with Juwan Jennings kind of coming together a little bit more back in the lineup. Ricky Pearsall looking viable enough. McCaffrey being back into. It's not the same situation for Kittle as it was the first part of the year where you had Ayuk out, you had Debo coming in and out, you had no McCaffrey, you had no Pearsall. Now it's a little bit of a different equation. I think the projection still reflects the early part of the year a little bit more than it probably should. Evan Ingram, a 13.4 projection, seemingly the only guy Mac Jones can find. A salary works. They're going to be playing from behind against Detroit. They might just get completely dick stomped here. Defense from Detroit could completely kill him too. One of the best defenses in football right now. But I think Ingram makes sense, even though, I mean, I guess you can't trust Brian Thomas. You can maybe trust Parker Washington underneath, though his snaps were down a little bit. I think Ingram's really the only player you would want to trust from Jacksonville, and you can at 5,200. Mark Andrews, 12-3 against Pittsburgh as his projection. Decent salary on him. No tight ends, honestly, I'm in love with. The KC part of it with Travis Kelce, I think the most appealing here. But I also think DeAndre Hopkins get going too, so I wouldn't lock Kelce in or anything. But projection-wise, really big gap between him and Brock Bowers. And then defenses here. In case you don't watch the Sunday video, I guess it doesn't really matter. We don't talk about them that much. But defenses, let's look at them. Where'd they go? Come back, defense. Top defenses projection-wise, Lions D, Vikings D, 9.4 and 8.8 respectively. 49ers D, 8.8 as well. Really high price tags on all these defenses. Dolphins look like the best combo of salary plus projection, 3K salary. 8.2 is the projection for them. And the Packers an 8.1 projection at a $3,500 salary. So the Titans will come up a lot as that value defense. I think also casuals will click them a good amount because of Darnold falling apart in a very prominent way last week. But seems like the Dolphins one is the most important one. Dick Stomp, there's a Pornhub category for that. The people like getting stepped on. I don't know about that. But people do enjoy that as a fetish, so more power to them. Things you only hear about on Splash Play. I feel like there's going to be a lot of Titans and Davis Allen lineups with very little value elsewhere this week. Potentially. I mean, something could open up, I guess. I do think if you get like Devontae Adams out and then Garrett Wilson looks like a better play, I guess for Shakir, he's going to become a worse play if Cooper's in. There's going to be a few spots like that frankly, I'm just aren't top of mind for me right now, but I think there's still going to be some value that opens up based on guys who haven't practiced during the week. So I'd watch out for that. Ownership, let's look over here and see if they've updated it at all. No, last update a day ago, but nothing's changed within a day. Let's check out this ownership and see what we get. All right, you got Alvin Kamara, 34% ownership, the chalk of the week. Devon Achane, 29% ownership as well. The usage has been there for him since Tua came back. Certainly a soft match against Vegas overall. Vegas giving up 0.05 EPA per dropback, 0.05 EPA per pass, negative 0.01 EPA per rush, which is fine. That's still towards the positive side of the league. Not in the red zone either. So in this spot for Achane, the workload's been there. He's also not quite a bell cow. It's looked more like one since Mostert fumbled a couple weeks ago, where basically they just took Mostert out of the rotation this past week. But I do think for Achane, I like the upside. I like the price tag for him. Kamara feels like he's a more comfortable floor play. I think in cash, you're playing Kamara no matter what. Achane, I feel like, has the floor for cash and then the ceiling for tournaments. Would not mind him. Khalil Shakir, projected for 25% right now. That won't last if Amari Cooper is in. Breece Hall, projected for 24% right now. I don't buy that because I don't think people like playing Breece Hall right now. If I had to guess, we're looking more like 10 to 15 on him, which to me would make him a valid enough play, even though I really do hate playing Breece Hall at this point. But everybody else does, so that's unfortunately the nature of DFS, where Breece Hall still projects well. The role is still okay, even though he's not, to me, the same tier of bell cow backs a lot of other guys in that price range are. He's still a very good play, unfortunately, because people just don't want to play him. Kayshon Boutte, so you want to look for value here. $3,500 Kayshon Boutte looks like the value. If he is 20% owned, it would be one of the worst plays of the year. Because of the fact he's only a deep ball player, the Rams do defend very poorly, as I've mentioned enough times against the Rams. They're really weak in efficiency in terms of the EPA metrics they give up. They do give up pretty low completion rates, though. So basically what you're getting out of them is like that means they give up chunk plays. The guy's going to give a chunk play on New England right now is probably Boutte. That said, like Boutte's still got a target rate that's really low. Boutte's at 13% target per out run rate, 17 air yards per target. Gets 1.1 deep throws a game. That's great. But like the point is that there's a lot of volatility to deep throw, to deep ball kind of players, deep threat players in general in the NFL. When you have that volatility as chalk at a 20% own play, he's not a guy who's earning targets at a good rate. Butte would be really bad chalk. So that's the kind of player, even if he hits, I just wouldn't play him at 20%. So one to watch over the weekend here because he does seem like your primary value right now. Hunter Henry, not a bad value as well in that Rams matchup at 3,900. Davis Allen, as Justin talked about, $2,500 salary for him, a 17% great cash game play for tournaments. He's okay. I like Davis Allen's talent, but I don't like him, again, being a 20% play. Just guys that don't have really secure, good roles. And Davis Allen still have Kupp out there, still have Puka out there, still have Kyron out there. A lot of ways that Butte and Allen can fail, and yet they will be probably a highly owned game stack based upon the fact that they just project well. Lesser owned players here. Guys under 10%, you can pause your screen if you want to see them, but Kyron at 10% flat, Kenneth Walker, Jonnu, Pickens, Devontae Adams, Brock Purdy, Puka, Elijah Moore probably wouldn't be there. Zay Flowers, vaguely interesting, that feels like the work is not as good for him as was in earlier parts of the year. David Montgomery, a little bit of leverage against what I talked about with Jahmyr Gibbs, still a fine enough play, even though the ceiling has not been there that much. It's when you a tournament for him. Ingram under 10% doesn't feel bad. Aaron Jones, Juwan Jennings, lots of valid players under 10% here, as you can see. Hawkinson, his role's been increasing, 4,700. Kupp at under 5%. Estime under 5%. People not taking that value. Look, I will say, if Estime is going to be under 5%, he's a more compelling play. Landon, not a good defense. Let me see if Estime is getting any red zone work. I know we got one red zone carry, but it was like pretty deep in the red zone. It's like towards the 20. Oh, I got fucking Javonte here and stupid Jaleel McLaughlin. All right, let me take out real fast. Just want to see a quick look at Esteban's numbers to feel like I have a read on if I actually want to advocate for him or not. Because honestly, I thought he'd be like 10 to 15% owned. It's going to be 5. It's a little bit of a different equation. Yeah, Estime. Oh, do I not have Estime in my sheet? Oh, man, what a slight by me to Audric Estime. I've not put his name in my sheet yet, so as a result, I don't have his data. I'm determined to get to the bottom of the Audric Estime case because I just want to see if he's getting decent goal line work, because if he is, I'm going to trust him a little bit more. If he's not, then I don't want you guys to go there. Audric Estime done. All right. See, so Estime getting... No, you know, these numbers aren't right because I'm probably missing an accent or something. Anyway, point being for Estime, I'm sorry, I would have liked to have given a more complete analysis there, but I just couldn't get it. For Estime being under 5% owned, 4,500, he's not the flat mid salary for an RB, which would be 4K flat, but as a pivot point to Butte and to, we're much higher owned all the way up here. Gotta scroll all the way up. As a pivot point to Butte and Davis Allen, get your value at RB with Estime. I think it's not a crazy thing to do with that much ownership. Kareem Hunt at 4%, any love there? He's been okay. The issue for him is he's not very explosive. So he's not a guy that I'm really grading out that well for how I view things. That said, he has been one of the higher guys in terms of the Spags score, which basically kind of rolls up the efficiency metrics with the volume metrics, goal line metrics, and all that. He's getting 6 red zone runs a game, 3.5 to the 10-yard line. The issue going against Buffalo is that Buffalo does shut down red zone runs pretty well. Actually, the best team in the league right now in terms of red zone run EPA, negative 0.32 EPA per red zone run attempt against them. So I have no issue with Kareem Hunt as a tournament play. I think he's fine, but like he's just not that talented, and he's just getting kind of a huge crush of work. And sometimes in the red zone, those actual touchdowns move away from him. So he's got better work than pretty much anybody in the league right now. So that's the main thing for me that would drive wanting to play him. What's his price tag though? I could just look at my sheet, but not Hunter Long, not Hunter Henry. 6,700. It's not bad. 6,700, 4% ownership. I don't hate it. High scoring game and on paper. Though honestly, KC only implied for 22 points. Buffalo 24. So the total right now does scream a little more defensively minded, which maybe supports Hunt. But like Hunt, if it's like a crowded front four against him, Hunt just doesn't do anything. Like Hunt is really, he's got no juice at all. So it's pretty tough. Estimate getting a majority of the early work against the Chiefs. I mean, he was getting everything. I'm just more curious about the red zone role. I think he ended up with like 15 carries last week. Had a few targets, but didn't convert them. So for Estime, I think he's an interesting play just because he's not going to be that owned, it looks like. See if that moves around, though, because it's possible. Estime's been in every piece of content this week that I've heard. So I would think he'd be higher owned than 5%. Like Davis Maddock was talking about him like he's like a lock button play. And like, I don't I love Estime as much as anybody. I was on him in fucking January when nobody else in the world was. So trust me, I'm very happy to see Audric Estime like be potentially viable. But like, I just don't think he's a play where like you're guaranteed the upside. But at 5% ownership, you take the shot more. Let's see what ETR gives us here. No variance on this one. We're going to use the ETR projections. Of course, the solver, you can import, or you basically directly automatically imports the projections from ETR if you have a membership. So check it out. The solver, link in the description down below. And the solver, the biggest part of it, the best part of it, is that's an optimizer combined with a simulation tool for NFL. So if you want to get both parts of that, as opposed to stochastic, which just generates a pool of lineups for you, on the solver, you can build your own. You can lock in. You want to lock in Audric Estime and build the best 500 lineups to Audric Estime and sim those out. That's what you can do on the solver. So it is worth your time. Check it out, link in the description. And for NBA, I will tell you, I'll put in probably about 10 entries into the 8s again today, in addition to being a dad and doing that stuff at the same time. And I'll use the solver to build my NBA lineups and then put them in the stochastic sim for NBA. It's been a really good process for me. It's working well so far, so I'm going to keep sticking with that. But solver's got a lot of utility, and frankly, I'm probably not doing a good enough job promoting it video to video. Your cash game lineup as of right now, 11:27 a.m. on the East Coast. It would be Brock Purdy, Alvin Kamara, Devon Achane, Jacoby Myers, Elijah Moore, Kayshon Boutte, well projected by Ole TR as well. Hunter Henry, Christian McCaffrey, Titans D. So that is the cash game team as of Friday early afternoon here. Who are we getting in all of these builds? We're getting Alvin Kamara in every top 25 projected lineup. Getting Christian McCaffrey in every top 25 projected lineup. Jacoby Myers in every top 25 projected lineup. And Devon Achane in every top 25 projected lineup. And Kayshon Boutte not that far off, 96%. So this is your core right here lineup. Again, if you're going to build a cash game right now, this would be it. Kamara, McCaffrey, Jacoby Myers, Achane, Boutte. These guys all project too well for their salaries, and as a result, will end up over-owned. So that is one thing to watch out for. Doesn't mean these guys aren't bad plays, all that. But basically, when you see these guys coming up everywhere on just an unencumbered crunch, no boosts given here, it tells you that these guys are going to get played a lot more because they make lineups work. So Kamara, McCaffrey, Myers, Achane, Boutte, 3 RB builds too. Not a week we're getting tight in the flex, at least so far. Game stacks. 80% of lineups have Achane and Jacoby Myers. So right away, that's one, honestly, you might want to take out right away if you are going to play it. Put a QB with it, increase the stack, something like that. But that one, that's a lot of ownership just based off the natural projections. Alvin Kamara and Elijah Moore game stack here as well. I don't like Elijah Moore that much at all. Tillman's got a real role. Moore has kind of a bullshit role that's okay, but not great. He and Judy, kind of the same thing. But I would not want to play 70% of Kamara and Elijah Moore. And then you're getting Purdy and McCaffrey at 56% of these lineups, Boutte and Henry, and about a third, a little bit more than that. So those are your main observations overall. Let's build a 250 set here with some variants on and my stacking boosting as well. We'll see what the solver likes as well. I've also been putting in 2 unique players lately just to get some different spread on lineups. So I'm going to do that here too. All right, let's see what we get. We'll build 250. Check out the solver sim. We'll hop over to stochastic, check their sim as well. And we'll see what the best lineups are right now on both sites. Love the Boutte. Yeah, just a fucking awful college player. Actually, I think he was good the year before he came out. And then he was like awful the year he came out. Also some personal things as well that are not that great with him. So, and he's just a deep ball merchant. So nothing to really like here is chalk, but he is coming up on both sites. Crazy. I don't know if Boutte's really done to deserve it besides a couple decent box score games. What's he topped out at? 2 catches. Let's see. I only look at per game stats because I try not to be a box score chaser for those kind of things. He had 4 last week against the Bears, 4 for 47. Again, just feels like a cash game he played. Does not feel to me like a tournament play that you want to go to. I'm looking over here. Got 4 catches, 2 catches, 3 catches, 1 catch, 3 catch, 2 catch, 1. Most targets he's gotten is 6. He's gotten 6 for a few weeks in a row. Look, 6 on a deep ball guy is fine if he's not chalk. If he is chalk, it's not really a play I think you want to get to. Still building our lineups here on the solver. The 2 uniques makes it go a little bit slower, but I do think it'll give us a better spread here for the Sims. Juwan Jennings getting any love? I don't think so. Talked about him in the ownership. What's coming up there? Getting him in 13% of these lineups being built right now. I don't know what that really means, though. All right, last one coming in here, and now we can sim it out. And hopefully their sims are ready. Here we go. Got mini play action. What's the biggest tournament we can look at to try to approximate the Millie Maker? So odd the way they do this. The solver lineup builds. Let's use the slant again. I just don't think they've built out their entire contest pool. There's got to be more than 13,000 possible permutations. Let's see what we get. Butte and Davis Allen, the 8-point mini correlation big sharps need. That is a decent call. That seems like one that'll be in a lot of lineups. And people will go like, I could get whatever I want with these guys. And in reality, they're not going to get you much more than 10, I would think, in a best case scenario. Butte can get you more, but like 20% owned. You just don't want to be the one left holding that bag. Your top sim ROI lineup right now: Drake May, Alvin Kamara, Christian McCaffrey, Tyreek Hill, Kayshon Boutte, Hunter Henry with Puka Nacua, Davis Allen. So a double stack with Patriots, bringing back a double, headless double with the Rams. So again, if you're going to play the chalk, at least you're playing it in a relatively unique construction of game stacking New England and the Rams. So I can live with that. Dolphins D as well as the defense on this one. It's not my favorite team in the world, but it does seem to finish top 1%. About 3.3% of the time. So ETR loves that lineup right now. Number 2 ROI lineup is, I think I need to click all of them, but Tua, Kamara, McCaffrey, Elijah Moore, Tyreek Hill, Jacoby Myers, Jonnu, Dawson Knox, and Jets. Dawson Knox getting the boost here with no Dalton Kincaid this week. Besides that, probably a decent price tag on Knox too. I can't see it here, unfortunately. But for Knox, not my favorite play in the world, but he's probably a more valid play than Davis Allen, honestly, especially if you had Amari Cooper out, but I don't think Cooper's going to be out. Brock Purdy, your number 3 ROI lineup: Brock Purdy, Jahmyr Gibbs, Christian McCaffrey, Jacoby Myers, Deebo Samuel, Juwan Jennings, Hunter Henry, Dawson Knox, and Falcons. Number 4 lineup, another Tua. Tua with Achane, McCaffrey, Calvin Austin, Tyreek Hill, Jacoby Myers, Taysom Hill, Jonnu Smith, Packers. So you're not getting as much 3RB here in the flex, which is important to note. You're getting, again, tight end in the flex for the most part. Russell Wilson stack at number 5. Russ with Achane, McCaffrey, Devontae Adams, Butte, Pickens, Mark Andrews, Calvin Austin, Bills. I hate these teams. These teams are like not fun. It'd be a weird week for me because I can't just jam in commanders left and right. But man, these are not the most fun to me. Jameis Winston team down here. Jameis with Kamara has a bring back. McCaffrey, Austin, Tillman, Deebo Samuel, Henry, and Njoku, Jets. I don't mind that one. That's the more fun. And Calvin Austin, though. Calvin Austin with Mike Williamson doesn't feel like he should be much of a play anymore. Fucking the Jameis quadruple. Jameis with Gibbs, Jones, Tillman, Elijah Moore, Sutton, and Njoku, Chubb, and Rams D. Got to tell you guys, I'm not like crazy into any of these. The highest cash rate one, just out of curiosity. 41% cash rate for Purdy, Kamara, McCaffrey, Myers, Deebo, Metcalf, Davis Allen, H.A. Barner, so double pay downside ends. Titans D. Yikes. All right. Really didn't reveal a whole lot here. Hopefully Stochastic will reveal more. Let's see what we get here. We'll build 10,000 lineups on Stochastic and have them compete 10,000 times to find out what they think here. So a little more volume, a little more simulation volume here compared to the Solver. So check it out. Solver, link in the description if you want to check out that product. Again, an optimizer combined with the sim. If you want Stochastic, just a pure sim product here where they build the lineups for you and you kind of can maneuver them around as you want. So you can drop your ownership, your exposure if you need to. But basically, they create a pool of lineups meant to represent the field, and then they sim those lineups out against each other 10,000 times. So it's a process. If you're new around here, check it out. Stochastic, link in the description for 15% off. Let's see. How did they leave out Jim Brown with Jameis? They put everyone else in. Yeah, there you go. Just dig into the archives / the graves. Jim Brown dead? I think he died recently, right? You can build some nifty Lamar stacks without eating the shitty chalk. Okay. I don't know what you're stacking with Lamar. I would have a hard time. I'd have a hard time chasing the Lamar stack in general. Like even Zay, I like Zay, but you like feels like they still kind of have to get Deontay Johnson well at some point. Bateman takes enough off the table. Clearly Andrews takes enough off the table. Henry and Lamar themselves take so much off the table. I would have a hard time paying for a Raven stack, but and again against Pittsburgh too. Like I did just try to do that last week. McLaurin got there, so I guess that to his credit. And certainly Lamar is going to be a little more better in the spot, a little better in the spot than than Jaden was, but Pittsburgh's D just fucking made that a really uncomfortable game last week. I don't know what's going to first. Let's assume it's 30%, though. Maybe 33. Let's run this sim here and see what we get. We'll look at the top ROI lineups, the overall exposures, highest ROI players. Then we'll head over to an Underdog Battle Royale and a Pick'em. So, guys, if you appreciate this content, I do these videos every day, Monday to Friday, 11 a.m. So please check it out. Besides Wednesdays, where I'm doing my data updates. Please hit that like button. Please subscribe. Your engagements go a long way for me. Of course, I try to build a community here around my own gambling and what I'm trying to gamble on, and just showing you the process I bring and the obsession I bring to everything I do in NFL. And, of course, the obsession extends to NBA as well, where I'll be doing at Splash Play NBA today. I'll link in the chat. Let me just pull up the link here. Going live at 4 p.m. Looks like another fun slate. It'll be the only NBA content I put out today besides a DK Nation article for unabated later on today. But check it out at Splash Play NBA at 4 p.m. if you want to get some NBA lineups in. Similar process here. I run through the Sims and all of that and show you more of my projections as well for NBA, which have been killer on the year besides for Brandon Ingram. But looking like another fun slate for value today. NBA. You want real good value, go to the NBA. You want dog shit value, go to the NFL. Obviously, player value, not the actual products and tools and data and all that. All right. Top ROI lineups right now, according to Stochastic. Look at that wheel spin. Ooh, can I keep up? Can I keep up? No. All right. Top ROI lineups currently. Zoom in a little bit so you can see them better. You've got Tua. You've got Achane. You've got David Montgomery, Tyreek Hill, Khalil Shakir, Curtis Samuel, Mark Andrews, George Kittle, Bills D. Keep in mind, this one is accounting for no Amari Cooper currently. If Cooper is in, certainly Khalil Shakir and Curtis Samuel should fall back out. Maybe not Samuel, but definitely Shakir would. But a Tua double here. Seems like the first lineup here. Another Tua team at number 2. So Tua on ETR and Stochastic looks like one of the better sim QBs. Tua with Kamara, Breece Hall, Tyreek, Khalil Shakir, Butte, Mark Andrews, Jonnu Smith, and Bills. I feel like we're going to play a Tua stack. I would go for the Bowers bring back, I think. Given the ownership, it seems like it's going to go Myers' way. Myers is fine, but you're not going to sneak up anybody there. Bowers the better player, I think. So Bowers a tight end. I wouldn't hate in a Tua stack. Number 3 ROI lineup, Jared Goff, Alvin Kamara, Breece Hall, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Khalil Shakir, Curtis Samuel, Sam Laporta, Juwan Johnson, Bills. So again, getting that headless Bills double here, which will probably not be the case in the future. Number 4 ROI lineup is Lamar, Alvin Kamara, Breece Hall, Zay Flowers, Khalil Shakir, Curtis Samuel again, Mark Andrews again, Davis Allen, Bills D. Bills D getting all these top 5, it looks like, besides number 5. Your number 5 ROI lineup, another Tua. So 3 out of the 5 have Tua. 4 out of the 5 have Bills D. 5 out of 5 have Khalil Shakir and Curtis Samuel currently, which will not hold. I guess, well, 4 out of 5. This one doesn't have it. But just still have Shakir. Very clear build here for the top sim ROI lineups. But the 5th one is Tua, Kamara, Breece Hall, Tyreek, Shakir, Curtis Samuel, Mark Andrews, Jonnu, and Jets. Just to try to be completionist here, because I do think this is going to move around. Let's say they don't contain Shakir. Does not contain Shakir. And lineup does not contain Samuel. All right, so you take those guys out. Your top lineups would be Tua with Kamara, Pollard, Tyreek. Oh, Tony Pollard, yikes. Tyreek, Zay Flowers, JSN. Tony Pollard against the Vikings D with Spears back in. No thanks. Jonnu Smith, Davis Allen, Titan. I hate to go against the Sims because Sims are always good tools, but I was right about the bait shit yesterday. Here today, I don't know. I just don't love these lineups. Maybe I just don't like the slate. Tua, Kamara, Breece Hall, Tyreek, Waddle, Jacoby Myers, Jonnu Smith, Bobo, Seahawks. Tua, Kamara, Breece Hall, Tyreek, Jacoby Myers, Keyshawn Butte, Andrews, Hunter Henry, Saints. Here's a Lamar one. Lamar with Kamara, Breece Hall, Zay Flowers, Tillman, Jake Bobo. Don't want Jake Bobo. Mark Andrews, Hunter Henry, and Seahawks. All right. Those are the top teams right now. Across the 150 set, including, again, these Bills receivers that are a little bit overprojected right now. Your top ROI players are Curtis Samuel at 40%, so that probably won't hold. Bills D at 23%. That should hold no matter what. Khalil Shakir, 20% ROI for him. That won't hold. Andrews at 18%. That should. Tyreek at 14%. That also should. Just really the Bills thing, I really actively expect not to hold. Breece Hall at 12% ROI. Brock Bowers at 10% ROI across a 150 set. Butte rounded up 10% ROI. Tua, 9.4. Boy, a lot of positive ROIs. Lockett, 8.5. Kittle, 8. JSN rounded up 8. Hunter Henry, 7%. Travis Kelce, 6. Davis Allen, 4. Achane, 2. You get the idea here. Jake Bobo, a rounded up 2. All right, so a lot of high positive ROIs here for players that, frankly, not the most fun, not guys I want to play. Top exposed players in a 150 set. You're getting 62% Khalil Shakir here. So getting almost 3x the field of Khalil Shakir. Won't happen with Amari Cooper back in. Breece Hall getting 57% compared to 23% ownership. So Breece Hall seems like the stand currently. That might move around because he might be a stand because he allows, like, let's say Shakir and Samuel to work better. Those guys coming in every lineup here as a result. So Breece Hall, I think the sim is going to like him no matter what because he's less owned, but projects similarly to a lot of other guys will be higher owned. But it does seem like right now, Breece chalk play according to the sim. Curtis Samuel, 49% exposure compared to 10%. And Alvin Kamara, 41% compared to 34%. Devon Achane, 39% compared to 29%. Kincaid should be out. Yeah, he hurt his knee last week. Bills D on their side, they look fine to me. 32% exposure compared to 8%. So almost 4x exposure on Bills D. Kelsey, 31% compared to 18%. Jahmyr Gibbs, 29% compared to 15%. So some pretty big stands here. Tua, wow, that's a lot of Tua. They want you to get more than a quarter of your lineups to have Tua stacks in it with 6% pool ownership. So, man, all right. Stack ROIs for Tua must be pretty high. No positive ROIs, QB +1. Kate officially, he was going to be out no matter what, but yeah, he's officially out now. QB +2, Tua with a 25% ROI, Drake May with 11, Minshew with 9, Lamar with 8. Also, it was weird. Wasn't Minshew, like, didn't they announce Ritter was going to be the starter and then they rolled it back and went to Minshew? Or unless somebody misreported, because I saw that going around. I think it was one of the football newsletters I followed. I was like, Ritter's going to start this week. And then, like, later in the day, it was like, Minshew's going to start. So I don't know what the deal is with that, but Minshew might have a quick hook. Something to watch out for. Lamar at 8%, Mahomes at 7%, Stafford rounded up 7%, and Geno at 6% rounded down. And a QB +2 stack ROI. Boy, those AR ROIs do not look good. Tua, 64% ROI and a QB +3. Josh Allen, 43% and QB +3. Stafford, 22%. Geno, 20%. Lamar, 14%. Jameis, 7%. So really pushing you on QB +3, which this week, because I don't love the wide receiver plays, whenever the wide receiver plays aren't that great and don't really speak to you, going to the more of larger stack, that could be an appealing move. So that's the move, I guess. Let's try to hand build one, and then we'll do a battle royale and a pick 'em slip. I don't even know what I'd want to hand build today, to be honest. Just not the prettiest slate in the world. All right. Like, let's stick with some of the RBs that I do like. I do know Achane to me seems like a good play no matter what. Again, the good price tag on him. The roll's been there for him. PPR points especially should be there for him. So 30% ownership. We'll take the chalk for that first click. Do you like the idea of Kyron? Don't know I could afford Kyron. I'm going to roll with Estime. I think he's going to open things up. I think the Kareem Hunt play is also kind of appealing in a grinded out, kind of grimy game. But I feel like in those kind of games, you kind of see them press the pass rate a little bit more. Estimated 4,500 or 5% ownership. I'll take the shot here. The projection of 10.9 fantasy points is not that great, even though you'd be happy to probably get that in best ball at this point. But we'll take the shot here just because he's not that owned. Wide receivers. How do we want to build this out? Not a big believer in Tyreek. I think he'll get you a touchdown this week, potentially, but I don't believe that he has the true slate-breaking upside. I did like J-Mo a lot in my early research. According to Fantasy Points data, he grades out as one of the better receiver matchups in football this week. As I mentioned enough times, Jacksonville's defense is just kind of an albatross. Let me go real fast through the Jacksonville stats. Of course, we'll do the deep dive on game by game for the premium members here. That video is coming up right after this one, and we'll auto-direct you, so stay tuned. Around 12 o'clock, we'll finish up with this one. We'll go over there. Jacksonville's defense now down to one of the worst marks in the league, 0.17 EPA per dropback, 0.2 EPA per pass. Downfield giving up a 0.9 EPA along with a 12.5% touchdown rate on throws of 20-plus air yards. It just kind of screams Jameson Williams' spot. So I'm going to go with J-Mo here. $5,800 salary, not that bad. Receiver doesn't do it for me this week. Kind of want to go to Jefferson here, but I don't think I would do Darnold with Jefferson. I mean, let's think. If I don't buy in on Butte, who would be the beneficiary if Butte sucks? Pop Douglas, maybe? I feel like their snaps have gotten weird for the Patriots. Pop Douglas played 27 last week, so he was down. Polk played 26 last week. He was up from 9 the previous week. Butte played 62 snaps. That is a lot. Osborne back up to 29 after not playing the week before. God, Butte really is out there more than everybody else, huh? Hunter Henry played 57. I don't mind Hunter Henry. I'm going to go Hunter Henry here at 3,900. He won't be as owned as Butte. He's a more logical play in terms of being able to pick up some chunks moving across the field. Didn't seem like it could be that owned a tight end overall. So we'll go Hunter Henry here. He's got 15.7% ownership projected for him. I'm checking the chat. Lad McConkey. Yeah, Lad McConkey, I'm sure it'd be a lock if you're on the slate. What else are we going to put in at receiver? Hate these receiver plays this week. I feel like a jet against Indianapolis wouldn't be bad. Do I really want to go Garrett Wilson? Garrett Wilson should be able to beat up on Indianapolis. I question the upside with Adams in there. I know we've seen him flash in games with Adams playing, but I just don't love the guaranteed opportunity for him. But I am going to put Garrett Wilson in here. I think the salary works okay. Don't hate the price tag on him. We'll give it a shot. Metcalf back this week. Right? Wait, isn't he supposed to be back? Can I not afford him? Where's Metcalf? They must not have a projection on Metcalf. Oh, so that's why JSN is coming up. They don't have Metcalf. Fuck, man. They got to clean up the early week projections at Stochastic. No disrespect to the company that does a really good job giving me some money, but I don't love that they have them these inaccurate for the video. Chase D-Hop for savings. If we're not going to play, Kelsey. I don't mind Hopkins here. Yeah, I would play Metcalf if they had a projection on him, but it's not worth simming a player that's got a 0 flat. All right, now QB. Does Goff go off here because he had such a bad game last week? I feel like it's kind of a Lionsy thing where you try to get Goff going. The issue is I don't know if he's only going to get Jameson going if he hits as a stack. But let's see. All right. Let's go with Jared Goff as our QB. A single stack here. I think we need to double stack it. Let's grab a defense first and see what we can do with the remaining position. Laporta has been questionable too. Laporta hasn't practiced this entire week. He's 4,300. Man, that wouldn't be bad. I'm not a buyer in the Titans defense. I'll get him in some sims, I'm sure, but I don't want to chase a cheap defense that's not that good a week after the guy they're going against threw a bunch of picks in a very public spot. So I think the Titans are a little bit trappy, and I don't want to force them in personally. Also Metcalf. It's more just running the sim here with Metcalf, but I think Metcalf is still a good play no matter what. Projection though does seem kind of low at 13.3. It feels like they're accounting for a little bit more of a boost for JSN after what he did. All right, let's see if we can get Gibbs in here. Price tag is going to be tough. This is going to make us not able to pay for a defense, right? We can do the Jaguars D. Jaguars D against Detroit probably does not work for this build. So we got to save some money somewhere to get a better defense in. Man, I do like this build overall, though. Garrett Wilson, my least favorite of the group, so I can live with that. Let's just get a good defense in here. He's going to create pressure against a QB who drops back a lot. Bears D against Love. Don't love that. No pun intended. Seahawks against Purdy. Seahawks D has been getting worse. I could see why Titans D is a comfy click in this range, which maybe you just come out of that range then. Browns D against Carr. Colts D. Rams for May. We got Hunter Henry, though. I mean, we could play a defense against them, but I don't want to really do that for a main slate lineup. We got Atlanta going against Estime. You know, we didn't play any Rams. Let's just go Pats D. Let's say they somehow get to Matthew Stafford. I can live with that as a concept. Not crazy about the Pats D. Obviously expect the Rams to put up some points against them here, but I don't think this game shoots out like it seems like some of the ownership would indicate. One last wide receiver to jam in here. Debo hasn't had a good game in a little bit here. Projection works. Drake London, competitive spot against Denver potentially here. Competitive games do tend to be a little bit better for Drake London. Let's see what we get with Debo. All right, let's sim this out here. Large contest, 30% to first. Got a double stack with Jared Goff, Devon Achane, Audric Estime, Jameson Williams, Debo Samuel, DeAndre Hopkins, Hunter Henry, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Pats D. I like this lineup. Sim fucking doesn't. Wins 0.1% of the time, negative 22% ROI. I'm not going to belabor this too much. I just didn't like the sim lineups that much. The sims also because they're operating off projections that are not fully reflective of what the weekend's going to be with the Buffalo guys and the Seattle guys. I don't think I'm going to build a positive ROI lineup for them. So that's that. Darnold hasn't been that bad. He's got a 69% catchable ball rate. Like he's throwing the ball where it has to go. I think you're overrating that. I think the public, not you specifically, but I think the public is overrating that. Like that he's not good right now. He's the same player he's been all year. He's going to have some upside weeks, going to have some downside weeks. I would frankly rather buy into the upside this week than the downside. But he is a player that gets in his own head a little bit. Obviously, the chasing ghosts or seeing ghosts comment would be one of those things, but I don't know. All right, Battle Royale here. $7 entry fee. We'll see if we can build one out. Current prize pool, I think it's 40K to first again, 40K to first, 20 to second, 10 to third. Nice prize pool once again. I'm not going to put in a bunch of battle royales this week just because, frankly, I just don't have the bandwidth or the care. Like, I'm not there with battle royales like everybody else seems to be. We're like fucking like Davis, Pete, like all these guys are I would say the other top streamers, let's say, guys who are getting more views than me, but I think we're all on the same spectrum for the most part, both autistic and generally. But I feel like those guys are just cramming battle royales, and it's like I still like salary cap DFS. Like I don't want to spend several dozen hours drafting a ton of teams. Granted, too, like I'm just not going to max these out anyway. But anyway, now we've said that battle royale is a lot of fun, though. I don't think estimate is going to be 20% plus. I really don't think so because people are going to look at the box score and go like, what has he done? You got to remember, like, so much of this game, like a large portion of the field, still a very large part of like, why does it take it so long to fill this battle royale, by the way? Am I the only one who doesn't want to do battle royales? Please, 2 spots in this battle royale if you want to get in. And by all means, get in so we can just get this shit done. Yeah, so like with Estime, I think people just like a large portion of these games and people that are playing these games, just building lineups, going through and going, oh, this guy was good last week. This guy's been good a couple weeks. Oh, I'm going to click him. He's been really good. And like for Estimate, you're going to see one box score of like 7 points. You're going to go, what? This guy's not that good. So hard to be 20% owned. Hard to be 20% owned. The only pay down at RB, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. People don't force a pay down in. They'll take what the projections give them. We got Patrick Barnes YouTube in here. Don't know any other names, but we're in the 5 spot. So nothing too exciting coming back most likely. And true degenerate gambler, I'm very responsible with my bankroll because again, after funding a startup for a year, that drained my large DFS bankroll in general. After buying a house, too, like I really fucked myself towards my DFS bankroll, but it's fine. I honestly, like I play like I assume you guys do, where like I like to put in a handful of entries in the big tournaments. I like to play my 20 maxes. Like I like to do that. That's the way that I've won the most money in my career. Like I won, the 55K putting in 5 entries in a big tournament. So like that's my style of play for DFS. Because frankly, I tried at one point when I had a lot of money in my DFS bankroll, tried just like playing 150 maxes every day. And it's like the stress level of that, the money swings, like, and that was when I was on a really good run and I just didn't like it. I just didn't have as much fun. So yeah, it's all personal choice. Anyway, clock is starting here. Battle Royales, good prize pools. Obviously, a lot of people in the community, in general, both this community and in general extended to the deposit game community, had a lot of success in it. So there are ways to win Battle Royales if you want to invest the time. You just got to really invest the time. And we'll invest some time here. Lamar Henry, neither Deontay or Mark Andrews is uncomfortable, but it's a good play. Deontay's not a good play at this point. Even if he hits, he's going to hit for like 3 catches and a touchdown. It's not a good play. Deontay is so uninvolved. And then granted, like they did disrespect him too a little bit this week. Maybe if you want to give the revenge narrative boost, knock yourself out. I wouldn't though. All right, Derrick Henry would be an interesting play here. Kamara also fine. Kamara, I believe, is going in the second round for most of the week for some reason. So loses some value if we do have to take Kamara here, but we'll see what Hartnett does. Takes Derrick Henry. I would have liked to have taken Derrick Henry there. I think at this point, Kamara, from what I listened to, I didn't hear the whole sim show with Davis Maddock and Brick and Nerdy Tenor, which I do think is a good one if you're going to play some Battle Royales to hear how those guys talk about it in particular. Nerdy Tenor and Brick. Nerdy Tenor has like the best sims for Battle Royales of probably anybody in the space. But Kamara, he had him ranked, I think, as one of the better plays in the week, and now he's come up a good amount. And I think he was low before ETR's data came out, if I'm not mistaken. All right, so at this point here, we're trying to get unique by just going to a different roster spot, I guess, because anybody in my spot would probably end up with Lamar generally. Kyron Gibbs. I do like Gibbs in that spot. Receiver is so dog shit. I also like Pickens. I'm going to go Pickens. I like Gibbs, but Pickens, I think, has pretty big upside against Baltimore. We saw Terry have a good day against Baltimore in the past. Pickens, I think, kind of stylistically a similar player with, frankly, more will to get him the ball in this Pittsburgh offense. So I'm going to scroll down and get Pickens to get my lineup a little bit more unique. And basically the logic for this, by the way, is that if you pick what I picked here, where I took Kamara right at ADP, at least his current ADP, then I'm taking potentially Lamar Jackson right at his current ADP. You're just not getting unique enough. You're going to be in a batch of every lineup, every player that's drafted in the 5 hole for the most part. So by scrolling down a little bit or soaking up a value, like let's say Derrick Henry had fallen all the way to 8 somehow. If I had taken Henry there, that would have been a good play to get unique. But instead, we're just going to get off the beaten path a little bit and try to go to Pickens. So that's my logic for it. Might not be perfect compared to actual data products like Brick's Draft Caddy tool. It does a good job. No, I do not have any Ridley Levis. Just Ridley's fine. Levis, no. It's not a high total matchup. ADP doesn't matter for first. I mean, ADP does matter for first. That's not accurate. ADP does matter. If you get the number 1 overall guy to you at pick 5, you should take the number 1 overall guy because you just normally don't have access to that guy at number 5. So ADP does matter. In general, ADP doesn't matter for battle royales overall, but there is still a structure and like crowdsourced, opinions or whatever. Like market data is basically what it is. So like you don't want to ignore market data. Though I do think Underdog has had some really prominent biases this year for guys that just don't match up projection-wise, like Saquon being one of them, Derrick Henry being another, even though I'm perfectly okay with Henry. They have some really notable biases sometimes. It does. Please listen to somebody smarter than me. Watch one of the Brick videos to talk. Like he and Davis Maddock have been talking about it for like the last month or so with Nerdy Tenor, but like it matters an incredible amount. So please don't mistake that. Kamara, Pickens, Breece Hall, we know is a top projected player in the week. Josh Allen, we don't mind against KC. Total's not the best, though. I'm going to go Breece Hall here. Not the biggest Breece believer in the world, but at a 20 ADP, just finishing up at RB here, I'm okay with it. Got to look at the scroll down plays a little bit more. But yeah, basically, being contrarian matters because like you want to have unique combos. The whole thing is unique combos, especially high projected unique combos if you can get them. If people don't land on them naturally because the ADP is just aligned a certain spot, you want to pivot that around and just say, take this player because people just don't land there. So, yeah, just really, that's the issue with battle royales. Like there's a lot of good info out there. Not a lot of good info. There's not a lot of good info out there. A lot of different takes that people feel like is good info. And that's, I think, what fucks people up in battle royales more often than not. Third round Breece feels okay here. I agree. But just not a big Breece fan. At this point, Josh Allen usually goes. So I do think we're soaking up a little bit of uniqueness here. I mean, again, I don't want to keep going back and forth with you. Nerdy Tanner and Brick feel very strongly about it. I don't care beyond that. I have my opinion that I've formed off of that. You can form your opinion as you want. I also, frankly, like, no disrespect to Davis, his opinion on things doesn't matter that much. I think Yuta's great. But Nerdy Tender has sent it out pretty aggressively. He feels like it does matter. And there's literally an hour-plus video they do every week breaking it down and talking about it. So follow your heart, Jason. Do what you want. I'm going to do it the way that I want to do it, which makes sense to me. They have ownership projections on this. Like, I'm not sure what we're talking about. Just took my shirt off, Spags, enjoying the show. Thank you. I'm glad you took your shirt off, Spencer. As long as somebody's shirtless, that's all that matters. We got Josh Allen, Alvin Kamara, Breece Hall, George Pickens here. I think I know one scroll down option we can get to that should be fairly unique, but not well projected. You might be able to see him on the screen here. Frankly, could do a Josh Allen double, which I wouldn't mind. But anyway, if you want more data for battle royales, I don't have an affiliate code for it, but Brick's Draft Caddy thing, which is in partnership with Endgame Syndicate, they do ownership projections that go through and point out like the combos and the projected ownership for them, so you could see which ones. Like if you were to pick Alvin Kamara, you could then see what are the highest owned combos with Kamara and go from there. And because of the way the ADPs line up, sometimes certain guys just don't get different there. So like as a result, you can just kind of move things around a little bit more. You don't have to, but you can. It's one way to get unique. There's a lot of different ways to get unique on a slate. It's like a showdown where we talk about the different levers to pull to get unique. Same concept. And honestly, it's a very similar concept to showdown, really. It's just, with the draft component thrown in. I think Curtis Samuel gets the work and Knox gets another 2. I don't think Curtis Samuel gets the work. If Cooper's in there, he's the play. He's like a legit receiver. Granted, he hasn't been good this year. Like, I get it. I'm going Amari here. Get 2 guys who are not being drafted. I think Amari Cooper plays. If not, we'll swap to Curtis Samuel. He's not getting drafted anyway. We're going to go with the Josh Allen double here. think logically, a lot of people, if they take Josh Allen, maybe they would have Kelsey with it. Not sure. This guy took Mahomes with Kareem Hunt. Interesting approach. All right. I'm going to do Knox. We're making the bet on Josh Allen. It could be a running-based bet, but they have passed so much in the red zone this year that I'm going to take the red zone pass expectation kind of concept here and try to make it work. So the team is a 1-2-2-1. Josh Allen, Alvin Kamara, Breece Hall. So feel pretty good about RB, two of the top projected RBs on the week. Pickens was a reach here, but I like Pickens in the spot. Amari Cooper, our scroll down pick. Dawson Knox, a scroll down pick. I don't know that we needed to do unique combo here where I dove down a little bit for Pickens and then added on 2 scroll plays, but the odds of this lineup being duped are very low. If you want to get an idea for lineups being not duped very much, go through BBMDB. They have a tool that shows you the Battle Royale exposures from the previous week. So you can see how much was Jalen Hurts owned with Saquon, how much was Jalen Hurts owned comparatively with A.J. Brown, with Devontae Smith, with Dallas Goedert. You kind of work off of those and get an idea for things. And same thing if you know the ADPs, like, oh, this guy was drafted at 8, this guy was drafted at 20. How often were these guys paired together? Probably not very often, as you know, in general. So that's sort of the process that I think is important here. But as Jason pointed out, you can listen to different things. People say different things. Let's build a pick 'em here. Biggest stance. Oh, okay. I feel like we have to put in a Mike Tyson one here. This fight's at 11 o'clock. It's tonight, right? Tyson Paul. Just for fun. Higher on Mike Tyson, 50.5 punches land. Though honestly, that feels like a lower, right? 50.5 is a lot for a guy that's probably not got a lot of gas. And if he goes to the end of the fight, he's just going to be like fucking dead and just hugging Jake Paul. We'll go lower. We'll go lower on Mike Tyson punches here. It's not an NFL-focused one, but hey, let's do it. So Tyson lower, 50.5 punches landed. Besides that this week, my biggest stands... Trying to think what I would like to put in here. One of them is definitely JMO. Love the anytime TD for Jameson Williams. We could take some yardage here. Honestly, I'd go higher on 44.5. I think this is pretty good value. Higher on 59.5 for a 1.2x value on this one. So JMO here, 1.28x value. So Jameson Williams, higher on 59.5. Obviously, I'd be happy with the market line on that as well. But JMO to me, good spot against Jacksonville. Feels like he's full of PEDs. He's got a lot of things going for him. We're pretty cool with Jameson Williams in the spot. George Pickens, I do like as well, and he's trending here. He's got a pretty good line here, 69.5 receiving yards. A longest reception, 26.5. I'll do the higher on 69.5. Like him in the spot here. I'm not going to juice that one too much. Pickens, again, the matchup against Baltimore, not a great pass defense. And also because of the fact that Lamar is putting up so many points on the other side in pretty much every game, the opposing team just ends up passing at a higher rate overall. So as a result, to me, Pickens, I think, a good play in DFS this week. As you saw, I put him in the hand build. But also, I think in general, fun and prop markets, anytime TD for Pickens also looks okay. Everything for Pickens, to me, I think is in play this week just because the way it wouldn't happen is like Pittsburgh completely shuts down Baltimore offense, and I'm not sold that would be a thing. Other plays that we want to get to. Let's do Kayshon Boutte. Any unders on Kayshon Boutte? Or lowers? Look, on Splash Play, we usually do higher. I'm going to go lower for Kayshon Boutte, 32.5 receiving yards. Really not a stand. I usually like to take pro player stands here where it's like, I love this player. This guy's going to go over. I like to do that more. In this spot here with Boutte, I'm so against him that I will take the lower on 32.5. Achan, let's see what Achan's markets are. I took Achan in receiving and rushing this week. I took about 150 plus, so I took him juiced. But here at 101.5, basically like the rushing receiving yards for Achan, at least on DraftKings Sportsbook, a little too juiced for his normal line, so I just went for the moon with it. But I think Achan in the spot with the targets he's getting with the matchup, over or higher, higher on 101.5 rushing and receiving yards. And then the bet that I took for Achan on the main sports books was 125 plus rushing and receiving. I think I took 150 as well. But 125 plus is what I put in the fantasy points column. That's plus 180 at DraftKings right now. Would love to see an old school Tyson KO. I would love to too. It's going to be really hard, man. I do think, though, the lines compared to previous Jake Paul fights, and it could be just public money coming in on Tyson, wish casting him, knocking him out. The line is more favorable for Tyson than I would have thought possible. So I would say that. That said, like, he's got to knock him out. Like if you were at a sports book where there's a lot of different, kind of spins on it, knocking him out in the first 3 rounds, I think would be it. Like you would have to, but it's such a weirdly structured thing too, where it's like, what is it? 8 2-minute rounds too. So it's like it's tough to bet. It's tough to bet for real, but symbolically, Tyson hitting less punches and more power would be my hope for him. One more to add to this pick 'em, right? Oh, no, we got it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, play it. I can't play it in PA. It's going to shut me down here. But I would play this one for $128. Ah, there we go. Don't offer pick 'em in PA. They had to dunk on me one more time here. All right, guys. So that's it for this video for right now. So that covered everything. Again, if you appreciate this content, number one, please hit the like button and subscribe. The fucking Philly asshole yesterday was like, you ask for likes and subscribe every 5 minutes. I, in fact, don't do it often enough to pick it out. But you guys, appreciate your support here as always. If you want to come back for the main event here, that's Sunday at 9 a.m. where I go through QB by QB, looking at all the top sim lineups here using Stochastic. I also look at the solver sims. We really get to our final takes here, and that's why the video is called The Final Takes for Week 11. So that's on Sunday at 9 a.m. Coming back for that. At 4 p.m. today, I'll be live on @SplashPlayNBA, so make sure to check that out. Been a really big help for a lot of people out there from what I've heard. I know for myself, my NBA lineup's been crushing over the last week or so. So that process has been good for me. I'll be back again at 4 p.m. And of course, it's Friday, so I'll have a beer in my hand and I'll look really cool for all you guys. That's the goal at 4 p.m. today. Thank you to all the fine folks who've joined the channel. You two support the show. And really, if you are a regular here and you add value, even guys like Jason who disagree with me and they want to push back and you want to, maybe distracts me too much, but I appreciate that more because at least you're coming into the take. You're listening to people. If you're like that, please feel free to join this community, be a part of it, the VIP Discord. Love to hear new ideas as long as they come about from good research, good process, good effort. So check it out. Link in the description, or to the, actually, there's a link in the description. You can also hit the join button down below. At $4.99, you get my data sheet and the premium video I'll be doing right after this one. I go game by game, look at all the advanced analytics to find the best plays. Solver, link in the description. Unabated, $30 off the promo code SPLASH. Great betting tool if you want to get in good bets fast and build better pick'ems than I did here on stream. Check out Unabated as well with that promo code SPLASH. Stochastic, 15% off. Underdog, $1,000 in bonus cash. Everything you need to know, that's here. And what else you need to know? Gamble responsibly, even if it's always money time. Follow me at Chris Spags. Follow the show at Splash Play Pod. Back on Sunday at 9 a.m. Back at 4 p.m. on the Splash Play NBA channel. And of course, right now, heading over to the premium video. So members, stay right here. You'll get redirected. Everybody else, see you again soon. Enjoy your days. And of course, good luck. Bye-bye.